tranquility and equilibrium. And Albert Pike feels that this victory was only a short time away from 1871 when he wrote his book entitled Morals and Dogma. He wrote, "We can look on all the evils of the world and see that it is only the hour before sunrise and that the light, capital L again, is coming." Mr. Pike went on to say a little about what is going to happen about after light conquers the darkness of the Bible. He wrote this, "The sign of the truth is about to appear, and the veil which concealed it will be withdrawn. And what this sign of the truth is not to be told except in a concealed manner." He wrote, "It is for you to discover this law and this secret for yourself. The initiate learns by reflection and not by committing," I'm sorry, one slide behind here. "The initiate learns by reflection and not by committing words and definitions to memory. This battle has been going on since the beginning of time and has been called the battle between good and evil, and we live in the generation that will decide the final outcome." Someone else who thought that light would overcome darkness was Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the famous composer. There's a picture of Wolfgang at a very young age playing the, I guess those days, the harpsichord. This is a book by Paul Nettie, an internationally respected musical authority, entitled Mozart and Masonry. This book details some of the evidence that Mozart was a Mason and wrote several of his operas to conceal Masonic truths. For instance, Mozart wrote Gesellenreise, meaning fellow craft's journey, just before his father became a second-degree Mason. The second degree of Masonry is called the fellow craft. Mozart wrote a second song to be performed at the opening of a particular Masonic lodge. And third, he wrote a third song, to be performed at the closing of that lodge, and a fourth entitled Mauer Freude, meaning Mason's Joy. Please forgive me for not pronouncing these words correctly, but that is the best I can do under the circumstances because I don't speak German. One of the greatest operas that Mozart wrote was called The Magic Flute. Before I comment on that, I must read a few of the comments made by Professor Nettie, who must be a member of the Masons, although he does not say he is. He writes this, "Among intellectual forces of the 18th century, none is of such fundamental importance as Freemasonry. It is significant because it combined all of the humanitarian teachings of its time." He writes about its alleged ideal of humanitarianism, its flowering since World War II, and its chief attractions. Mr. Nettie says Masonry keeps no secrets from the uninitiated, and of course we've been examining that and find that's not true. Yet there is a Masonic secret, a mystery, an experience that cannot be taught or explained, because it lies, like every mystic experience, beyond the realm of controlled consciousness. And then he says that this secret of Freemasonry is the secret of experiencing true love for all mankind, a positive attitude towards man and life, and broad affirmation of God. He said it is the realization that beyond the dark and material world there is a realm of light towards which all men must strive. So it appears as if Mr. Nettie has not studied Masonry long enough nor deeply enough to see that what he sees is simply not the truth. He has been deluded by his study of the craft. But overlooking his patronage of Masonry, his book adds an important piece of the puzzle to the understanding of its role in the past. Mr. Nettie wrote about the use of classical music as a way of propagandizing the elite of a society for the cause of Lucifer worship. Because Mozart was using his work, the Magic Flute, as a way of informing those who attended the opera that Masonry has a great allure to those who joined it. The author calls the Magic Flute one of the greatest artworks of all time and says that it was the direct result of Mozart's Masonic associations, because the Magic Flute glorifies the Masonic ideal. There are some who believe that Mozart revealed too much in the Magic Flute and that he was poisoned by the members of the Masonic Lodge. And the reason for that belief lies in the fact that his first performance of the opera was on September the 30th, 1791, and he died on December the 5th of the same year. There are stories that his hands and feet began to swell and that he was vomiting just before he died. There are those who believe that these are signs of poisoning. His official cause of death was rheumatic fever causing a heart attack. So we will never know. So if the Masons killed Mozart, the world will never know of their act of murder. So I would like to examine a little about the opera and see if we can determine just what it was that Mozart wrote that glorified the Masonic ideal. The hero of the opera is Tamino, the son of a king, and he is promised the hand of Pamina, the daughter of a queen, if he will rescue her from a man named Sarastro. And the hero begins his journey. He ends up locating Pamina and Sarastro and finds her after she has escaped the king. For some reason not made known in the video presentation of the opera, Tamino decides that he and Pamina must be initiated into a group that Mozart calls the Brotherhood. Now these are some pictures taken from a copy of the opera that I have, and we're going to have to read. We'll read the words, but they're in the captions in the white. They might not show up on the screen. But these three women attempt to warn Tamino, shown there in the blue outfit with the little red on the shoulder. These women attempt to warn Tamino about the Masons. They say, if you join the Brotherhood, you will surely end in hell. I think their opinion is a little strong, but it's interesting to note that Mozart was trying to say that there were at least two sides of the Masonic question. But Tamino determines that he will be initiated, and the three women give him a magic flute and tell him that it will protect him as he journeys through the trials of the initiation. They further tell him that the magic flute will increase human happiness. But it is my opinion that the flute is a symbol of a truth. The flute, in my opinion, is a symbol of the truth that Lucifer is the god of the Masons, and that knowledge will protect you, and that knowledge will protect you from the evil Christians. That truth will increase human happiness after all men live in the New World Order. I believe that Mozart understood the Masonic Lodge's roles in creating the New World Order. So the next part of the opera concerns itself with the initiation of Tamino. I want to point out that women do not accompany their boyfriends or husbands as they go through the Masonic initiation today, but in the opera, for some unexplained reason, Pamina accompanies him. However, she walks behind him with her left hand on his left shoulder. The implication is that she is going through the initiation not as an equal, but as the future wife of Tamina. This slide shows Tamino, shown on the left, as he prepares to enter the temple. This slide does not show it very clearly, but the temple is a giant pyramid with only this, the front door, visible. Notice that there are two obelisks near the temple, one on each side of the door. Three boys, played by three young women, reveal the nature of the ceremony that Pamina will go through. And this is what they sing in the song. There's these three young women portraying three young boys. Soon the sun will rise, mortals will be as gods, superstition will vanish, and wisdom will triumph. This is what they sing to the audience. This is the future. I believe they're talking here about the New World Order. So here we see the reason, I believe, that Mozart was murdered. He revealed the nature of the Masonic initiation. The Masons, represented by wisdom, will finally overcome superstition, meaning Christianity. So Mozart understood the exact nature of Freemasonry. Very simply, Mozart knew. Meanwhile, back in the temple, the brothers assemble for the initiation. Notice that they are all wearing blue cloaks. The first 3 degrees of the Masonic Lodge are called the Blue Lodge. I don't know, but I think that this is another amazing coincidence. The king, Sarastro, tells the Brotherhood that Tamino, the hero of the opera, wants to be initiated. The master addresses the lodge as the servants of Osiris and Isis. And we've been showing you in the quotes from the past that Osiris was the sun god, a symbol of Lucifer. The Brotherhood then votes to accept Tamino as a new brother. There they are raising their hands in voting. And Tamino says, my God is wisdom. There he is before he goes into initiation. And he said, my prize is Pamina. He's going to be married to Pamina if he goes through the initiation. So Tamino understood before he is initiated. Notice that Tamino's head is covered with a hood, which is an accurate recording of what actually happens during a Masonic initiation. The king says, "O Isis and Osiris, grant wisdom to this new couple," meaning Pamino and Tamina. At the end of the opera, Tamino and Pamina approach the king during the last stages of the initiation. And shown here, Tamino and Pamina have completed the initiation. Notice the huge sun and its radiant beams extending from the semicircle. There is no question that this is a sun, and it appears that Mozart understood the hidden concealed message of the Masonic Lodge and that he put it in the opera. And that is the reason I believe he was murdered. Let's go back to this book. We talked about it in another context, but this is the book entitled Jack the Ripper by Stephen Knight. We've already talked about it, but he says this about the death of Mozart. "It is known that Vienna's highest Masons were angry at Mozart leaving the Brotherhood in his last years, and they were outraged over what they regarded as a betrayal of their secrets in the magic flute. To this day, and meaning 1986, when Mr. Knight wrote the book, no one knows where Mozart's body is buried. So it is conceivable that Mozart was poisoned and then buried so that no one would ever find the body and discover the evidence of the poisoning. So there appears to be evidence that the Masons will murder if they believe that they have to. I next would like to discuss the pyramid and the all-seeing eye as symbols. And I'd like to start by examining the pyramid on the back side of the dollar bill. Notice that the pyramid has an all-seeing eye that we've discussed before. We're going to continue to discuss as we discuss the pyramid. It is an interesting question as to why our founding fathers decided to put this pyramid on our Great Seal. Because to my knowledge, there are no stone pyramids in the United States. This is the official position of what the U.S. Treasury Department tells us about the pyramid on our Great Seal. The pyramid is the symbol of strength, and its unfinished condition denoted the belief of the designers of the Great Seal that there was still work to be done. Notice that the pyramid on the dollar bill is not complete. The top is flat, and the eye is above the pyramid. So this couldn't be a symbol of the founding of the Republic. It has another meaning. E. Raymond Capt, a writer on the subject of the Great Seal and its symbols, wrote this: "The triangle in connection with the all-seeing eye is the Masonic symbol of the grand architect of the universe." So Mr. Capt connects the all-seeing eye with the pyramid, and the pyramid with the Masonic Lodge. The pyramid of the Great Seal is a model of the Great Pyramid of Giza outside of Cairo, Egypt. And we'll come back to that pyramid in a few moments. Here, for instance, is a copy of the Great Seal of the state of Colorado. Notice that the state also uses the all-seeing eye in a pyramid form just above the shield and above the thing called the, I've forgotten the name of the middle thing. So I won't talk about that. But above all those symbols is the eye with the pyramid. Notice that the state also uses the all-seeing eye in a pyramid form. So it is not just the federal government that understands the significance of the all-seeing eye and its connection with the pyramid. The people who conceived the flag or the seal of Colorado did so as well. So we can see that the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, and the twin obelisks are all Masonic symbols, as we're showing you here in the last few minutes. I'd like to now return to the study of the pyramid. The Masons acknowledged that the pyramid in Cairo was not a tomb or a burial chamber, but in truth was a temple of initiation. The October 1953 edition of the New Age magazine, published by the Masons, contained an article on the Great Pyramid. This is what it said: "If perchance you were to visit the Great Pyramid of Giza, the one outside Cairo, you would be presented with a souvenir stating that Osiris commanded Thalmes to build him a house in the form of a pyramid with certain designated passageways. Notice that the pyramid was built for Osiris, the Egyptian sun god, who wanted a house to live in. The Masons are admitting that the pyramid was built as a house, as a place for the sun god Osiris to live. They are correct. The pyramid was not built as a burial tomb for a pharaoh. It was not built as a tomb for anyone. It was built as a house for a sun god. In fact, the Great Pyramid was once covered with dazzling white casing stones, which could be seen from great distances because it captured and reflected the sun's rays. This is a picture of a few of the only remaining casing stones still part of the original structure. Apparently it acted in part as a visible reminder of the sun god who lived inside it, because many could see it from miles away because of its reflected light. This is a book called The Pyramids, An Enigma Solved, written on Joseph Davidowitz, written